Okay, hey everybody, Aaron Blaise here, and previously I did a video on basically a quick start animation guide using the latest TVPaint 11, and I spent about an hour kind of going through all of the different bells and whistles in order to animate a scene kind of quickly. There's a whole bunch of new features in TVPaint 11 that I want to take you guys through. There's several right here in this new video that I want to show you that are pretty cool. One, being first and foremost, the most important, I think, is they have Autosave now, which is, as some of you may have experienced in the past, I know I did, you know, I've had the experience where I've animated a whole bunch of stuff, forgot to save, and I've lost like days and days worth of material. And now you can come up to Edit, Preferences, and then within the preferences you can see you've got a whole bunch of choices in here. If we click on Save, you can see I've got it set right now for auto save right here, and then you can also set for how often you want it to save. I've got it set for saving every 5 minutes. Keep in mind that when it does save, you can't draw. It's gonna, you know, if you don't have a whole lot of layers, that's not a big problem, but sometimes you might have a bunch of layers and it might take 30 seconds to save and you really can't do anything. But that to me is a small price to pay in comparison to losing a whole day's worth of work. So like I said, I've got mine set for every 5 minutes, okay? So that's the autosave mode. It's a very, just make sure you, when you open up TVPaint and you start to work, get into the edit preferences and set that up right away. Don't forget, okay? The next thing I want to talk about is just the color picker over here. They've added a new feature. They've got a color wheel in there, a chromatic wheel, where I'm going to come down and you can see we've got a whole bunch of stuff right here. You can click on the slider. There's different ways of setting up your color. We've got the picker, which is what I use. You come down, we've got the mixer, which is like a paint palette. You can just smear paint around, which is very cool. And then we've also, we've got the palette, where you've just got a whole bunch of squares of color. But then we've got the chromatic wheel, so you can kind of move your color choices all over the place. It's a very cool way of picking color. Like so, you can see as I jump around, we can move it this way and that way. It's very neat. And then we've got also the color variation, okay? So I'm gonna come back to picker because that's where I like to, that's my preference and the way that I like to set up stuff. Now, we've got another tool that they've improved on. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna make sure I'm on my animation layer, and I'm just gonna pick a random drawing. Let's say, I'm gonna turn that sound off. Let's say we get down to this key, and let's say I wanna push this key a little bit. I'm not crazy about the drawing, and I don't wanna redraw. Well, I can come up to here, and normally it's set for transform, and I can change the shape if I want to, just by holding down the shift key and doing that, okay? I'm gonna hit return. But the other thing you can do is if you hold this down, you've got all these different tools right here. I'm gonna come down to warp because their warp is a little different. They've improved it. And what you'll see is you'll see this grid of blue dots over everything. And if I put my cursor down and pull down, look how you can warp everything. And it's very, very cool if you want to just make some small adjustments, if your volumes aren't right, if you want to push an expression, that sort of thing, you can have some fun with that. You can even lock some of these points if you don't want them to move around. So I recommend getting in there, experiment with some of the preferences and just have some fun with it. But it's very cool. You can see how everything's kind of related as you move it around. So that's a lot of fun. So here's another thing that actually I find useful. A lot of times when I'm animating and I've got some in-betweens in there, but I just want to see my keys, they have an option in here where you can mark certain drawings. You can mark keys, you can mark breakdowns, and it comes in handy when you just want to flip those drawings. So let me show you how to do that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up to Windows, come down to Animation, and you'll see Image Mark. And when you do that, you'll see this little menu come up over here. Well, all you got to do now is come over here, and I'm gonna highlight that first key just by dragging my cursor across it, and I'm gonna click right here and I'm going to mark that as my first mark right there. And you can see that it's turned that drawing blue. We can also add more marks and change colors if you want. So then I'm going to scrub along. I'm going to find that next key. There's that next key right there. I'm going to highlight it. There it is, the next one. I've just clicked on that plus sign and I've made a new mark. Then I'm going to move along, and there's my next key. And I'm going to go ahead and mark it. Move along. There's a key right there. I'm going to mark it. Let's do one more. And there's a key right there. And we're going to mark it. Now, I want to be able to flip back and forth through just these keys. And this is the flip option now. So we're going to come back up to Windows, Animation, and Flips. Okay, now once again, I'm going to get a whole bunch of options right here in this menu. I want to be able to flip manually, meaning I just want to scrub across. Right now, you can see, if I scrub across, it's playing all the drawings. It plays everything. I only want it to play the keys. In order to do that, I need to assign a shortcut. So I'm going to click on Assign, and we come over here, and I'm going to just, because it's not assigned, I'm going to click on V, and then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to click on what I want V to be assigned to, and we're going to go to Flips. So we're just going to click on that, and then I'm going to click on Manually right there, and now I'm going to go ahead and click on Assign and hit OK. Now you can see I've got a V right here. So if I come and hold the V key down as I flip, as I scrub, you can see that it's playing just those keys. That can come in really handy when you're trying to make an adjustment in your animation and some of the in-betweens are getting in the way and you just don't want to play them. This is a great handy way of doing that. Then you can come in and you can also mark your breakdowns and some of your in-betweens as well. It also comes in handy if you have a pipeline, if you have several people in line that are taking the scene and you have someone that's just going to be cleaning up, let's say, cleaning up the keys. Well, these keys are already marked, so they can get in there, clean up the keys and move it on down and get it to the next person. So it's very cool that way. So the next thing I want to talk about is the color texture generator layer, or the CTG layer. It's very, very cool. So what I've done previously, I'm going to actually knock this opacity down on the animation layer. And what I've done earlier, before this video, is I've gone ahead and I've created a cleaned up drawing. Now imagine, there could be a whole, all the cleanup drawings are done for this bit of animation, but I've just done one just to demonstrate this layer. So I'm going to click on that, and the reason I would click on that is because when I create the CTG layer, it's going to assign itself to this cleanup layer. And what I mean by that is, watch, I'll show you. I'm going to click New, and we're going to go to Color and Texture layer. That's what we want, and I click on that, and you can see it automatically creates a layer underneath that cleanup layer, which is where I want the color to be. And you always want that color to be underneath your line work. And it's assigned itself to the number of drawings that are above it. Right now I only have one drawing there, so it's only provided me one drawing. If I had had a whole bunch of drawings here, it would create a new drawing for every one of those, okay? And now this is where it gets really fun. So now I can jump up here and I want to say, okay, I want to grab some dark brown, and I'm going to come over here, and all I have to do is just go whop like that, and it fills it. It's very quick. It saves you a ton of time. Now I want to come up here and get maybe more of a tawny color for the body fur and some of the face. And all I have to do is touch it here, and it fills it right in. I'm going to do it on the ears. We'll do the other ear over here. Now I want to get some of maybe the face. And I'm going to go ahead and blow this up. Maybe we want some here. I want that part of the nose. All right, and you can see that it's spilled over. Well, I can come back in here now. And let's say I want to do some white. So I'm going to go a little bit brighter with that. I'm going to touch it on the chin here, and it's already filled over there, which is very cool. Now let's come over to the nose. I'm going to go a little grayer with that, maybe a little redder. I can just touch the nose, and it's filled it in. Now it's gone over into the white again, so I'm just going to grab if that happens, this is what I do. I grab my ink dropper, touch it to there, and fill it in, and we've got the white. So it works out great. Now I can also do the eye and do the eye there. And maybe I want it to be a little bit darker around the eyes. So I'm going to come up and go into the brown range and come over here and just touch right here and touch right here. And you can see in about 30 seconds, I've colored my character. This comes in really handy when you've got a whole bunch of characters to paint. And then as you go back, you can touch each color and keep that same color assigned, like the mane color or the face color, the body color, the chin color. And you can keep that assigned all the way through the rest of the shot. So like I've said earlier, the folks over at TVPaint have been really great at responding to the requests of the public, the people that buy their product. People come up with suggestions, they come up with ideas, things that they need, and they respond, they provide it. And so that's kind of what I've tried to spotlight here in this short video. I recommend getting in there, dive deep, just experiment with some of these things and see what you can do. There's so many different options, like I said, like Photoshop and some of these other big robust programs. There's so many different ways of doing any one thing. So if you have TVPaint, get in there, try some of these things that I'm showing you, but also try your own versions, okay? I'm gonna move on and I'll talk to you later. Thanks.